Hello painters, it's Debbie from acrylicpouring.com, back today for a bit more bright colour fun. So I thought I would do a swipe. It seems to have been a little while since I did much in the way of any swiping, and I really want to do something with a lot of high contrast. So I've gone for my brightest colours. I've got a lemon yellow, magenta pink, a bright orange. This one is a mix of phthalo green and the lemon yellow to make a nice bright green, and then I'm going to swipe it over with some black. So I've got no plan, I'm just going to see how it takes me today. I might start with a bit of my orange because that's in a squeezy bottle, so that's easy for me to put down first of all. And then I'm just going to layer up some of these colours on here and we'll give it a go. Now my orange is always a little bit dominant, floats to the top, so I'm not going to go too crazy with that. And I want to put some green maybe just in the centre. And I'm going to do a variety today of horizontal and vertical bands of colour because they'll swipe differently. If you have horizontal bands of colour going this direction, they won't mix as much as they do as if you have your colours going in this direction, then you swipe the colours over the top of each other. So I thought it would be interesting today to have some areas that are more contrasting and then some areas where the bands of colour are more horizontal, and we'll see pretty much what happens with that. So I'm also going to cover some of the colours up too, put one over another and we'll see what happens. Oh, this yellow is nice and yummy and bright. I'm going to make sure that I also put plenty of colours up at the top because I don't want too much black on this one. I want the black in it, and I want some veins of black hopefully around all of my swiped cells, but I would really like to have more emphasis just on the colour and not just too much black up at the top. But again, who knows, it's all an experiment. Every time we paint it feels like an experiment, because unless you've done the exact same thing before, you know, you really never know what's going to happen. So how are we doing with that one? Okay, let's add a bit of pink. This pink's yummy too, very nice. So now I'm just kind of filling in with the pink where I can see I've got a few gaps. But I don't need to, I think, to cover the whole canvas. I might do a little bit more where I've got the horizontal bands of colour, because they won't mix as much. But there'll be so much paint on here. By the time I've swiped over, I think it all kind of smushed together anyway, and hopefully it will be fine in terms of the amount of paint volume that I have. So what are we missing? I could do with maybe a little bit more orange just there. Maybe a bit more green up at the top here. Now when I've swiped in the past, I've usually done it on tiles, and of course the paint spreads a lot more on a tile because the surface is very glossy and it's not absorbent. So it will be a bit of an experiment for me today to see if I do have enough paint or not on here, especially for covering the edges. But in the event that I don't, I can always go around and just, I think, touch up the edges with black later on. So I'm not too worried about the edges. So what don't we have enough of? Some more pink. More pink here. See here I've made quite a deliberate horizontal patch, so we'll see if that looks any different in this area to the rest when it's all done. Okay, do you think that's enough? And more pink there. Right, let's add some black. I do like working with these squeezy bottles. Makes it so much easier to paint, you know, if you want to put some paint on accurately. Very much easier. Okay, so that's enough that it's running down, so I've got plenty that I can pick up there if I need to. I'm just going to use these little paint chip cards from the DIY store. I'll zoom in a little bit now, a bit more on the canvas itself. There we go. And let's see how it goes with the swipes. Okay, so I'm going to, instead of going right from the top, I'm just going to try and pick up from the bottom of the black. I can always go across again if I want, but I don't want too much black, so I'm just going to pick up from the bottom of the black. And a little swipe there. I haven't got quite enough paint, got a little gap there, so let's give that another go over. Okay, we're good. So I'm a little bit thin there on the side. I just need to see if I can swipe off towards the sides a little bit. Now, this is interesting. Just want to show you on my cloth. I've even got beautiful cells on my wipe cloth where I've been wiping off my little swipe card. Even that looks gorgeous. So how are we looking? It's looking good. I'm liking it. I haven't quite got enough paint on these sides, so let's get a brush, see what I can do about that. I think I am just going to touch up. I'm going to fill in the bottom with green because I can see I've got mostly green in this area, and then on the sides and the top I think I'm just going to paint them black. I think it would be a nice contrast. Don't always need to have the design going over the edge, but it's a good lesson for me for the future. If I am going to swipe in the future, I need to make sure on a canvas that I am taking my paints a bit more closer to and over the edge, because it doesn't spread as much as it does with a tile. So I did suspect that, but didn't compensate. Never mind, it'll all work out well in the end. I've got plenty of black runoff here, so I can just tidy up that edge just there. That looks good. And I'm just going to leave this for a while rather than rush in and throw a torch over it or start moving things around. I'm just going to wait and see what happens, give the paint time to react and move and do its thing. And I can do that while I carry on and just tidy up these edges. And I don't think it will look bad if I paint them in black. I think that's going to look quite cool. It'll really emphasize the bright colours, I think. I could probably even do it when it's dry, but I may as well spend a little bit of time doing it just carefully now. And as I do, it'll just encourage the colour to run down over the edge a little bit more too. Yeah, that's looking good. So you don't need to watch me do this. I'm just going to leave it here. I'm going to fill in around my edges, and then we'll see back here in a minute and see how what's developed. So there we go. The edges are all touched up and it's finished. And wow, that is a lot of high contrast and bright colours. Exactly the kind of style that I really, really love. I can paint with kind of muted colours and complementary colours and things that kind of match all day. But this is what really makes my heart sing when I see something like this. So it was simple. Let's go and take a look at some of the details. I've just touched up around the edges. I think, do you ever get this on yours? You see just a little bit where the paint is failing to stick a little bit to the canvas on the edge there. So I don't think it's a problem, because obviously this is going to be a solid colour, so I can just continue to touch that up a little bit while it dries. But it is a little bit annoying sometimes when you get these little thin patches. But the surface of the canvas itself, wow, absolutely glorious. Just look at all of that. I love all the multicoloured cells, the way, you know, they overlap each other and you get lots of colours all together. A nice orange patch over there with a lot of great details in, and some really nice patches. Well, they're nice patches everywhere. But what is interesting, you know, we had this, I deliberately made a horizontal patch just here, well, or vertical, depending which way you're looking at the picture. And now once I've swiped, it really doesn't look any different to the rest, so that's interesting. I think probably because I had the colours stacked up here anyway, and as I swept over them, it all just mixed in. But it would be interesting, maybe I should do that next time. Instead of doing the colours across the swipe, maybe I should do them with the swipe, and we'll see the different effect, because I'm sure you'd get a very different effect. The colours would mix a lot less if the colours were laid out in the direction of the swipe. So maybe that's an experiment for the future. But for now, I think I'll call this one a success. So hang around for the next section of the video when I'll show you what this one looks like when it's all dry and finished. So here it is finished. It's now glossed, varnished and ready to go off to a new home somewhere. Which way up do you think you prefer it? If you were to display this, do you like the black at the top or the black at the bottom? I don't know, I think it looks good either way. My preference is probably at the top, but that may be just because I kind of painted it that way, you know? Somebody else might prefer it a different way. Anyway, it looks really good. The colours are really vibrant and bright, and I think this is definitely my most favourite style of painting. I love swiping anyway for the effects that I get, and swiping with black just gives me that fabulous kind of contrast, you know, almost like a stained glass look. The really bright colours with the black outlining. So again, this one goes top of my list for my favourite paintings. Thank you very much for following along and painting with me today. I hope to see you over at acrylicpouring.com very soon.